Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hahn Films Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Hahn, owner and executive producer at Hahn Films. On this podcast, we talk to cast, crew, clients, and more who have worked with us. Today, I am so excited to speak with the lead in Generation Hack who plays Hilt, Angel Pean. If you haven't heard, this film that we just completed is premiering in the Big Apple Film Festival in New York City on December 11th. And Angel was able to carve out a little bit of time for us to talk about her acting career, starting in Texas, going to New York City, and now living in Atlanta. So, without further ado, let's speak with Angel Pean.
You never told him?
We were all part of this. I could have found a way.
I can't just be stone cold and help fix the world.
Every species on the planet fights for survival.
I will stand, and I will fight to save this world.
60 Hahn, take two.
Angel, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today. I really appreciate it. It's been way too long. I was trying to figure all this out, and I really don't think we've seen each other in person since we wrapped Gen Hack, Jersey City, that really, really late night where we were doing the fight scene. That was our last shoot day. So that's insane. That was October of 2019, and finally seeing this film come to fruition. I'm so excited for you to see it. Your performance is stellar, and you deserve to have this thing be seen everywhere. So I'm hoping that we have a really great festival run with this. Obviously, the premiere is December 11th, Big Apple Film Festival in New York City. We're gonna have a really great turnout, and I'm excited for you to have that moment for this film, because I know it was near and dear to you just as much as it was to me. So to finally have this happen is fantastic. So thank you for coming along this long journey with me.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, honestly, I'm happy to be here. I tell people when they ask me about my time as an actor in New York, what was your favorite project? And it was Generation Hack for me.
Oh.
It was
Awesome.
It was a role that really resonated with me, and I had so much fun shooting with you guys. And I'm excited that we finally gotten to this place.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see it.
That's awesome. So speaking of New York, let's go back in time a little bit and talk about, the beginning days of Angel. You grew up in Texas and then you moved to New York City to become an actor. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about that process and where you went to school and your first films there. I'd love to
Yeah.
hear more about that.
Absolutely. So I started, as many of us do, as a young thespian in the theater in middle school and high school in Texas. And that really led me to a place where I knew I wanted to study so that I could work professionally as an actor. And the opportunity presented itself where I could, go to school in New York City. Initially, I actually wanted to go to school in LA, but this school came around and I was offered a good scholarship and I decided to go. It's the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts.
Oh, yeah.
And it changed so much for me, not only as an actor, but I learned so much about myself, as a person.
Yeah.
And New York City in general is just such a magical place. There's so much self-discovery to be had there, especially in those early adult years. And I got to really grow and adapt and really kind of find the pieces that makes Angel her authentic self. And in that, got to be a part of really cool projects. I did a lot of short films, some web series. And one of the last things that I got to work on was Generation Hack with you guys, because naturally that was 2019. Pandemic hit in 2020 and I jumped ship and moved to Atlanta. And that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, that's crazy. So did you move in the baby days of the pandemic, or you were already moving to Atlanta before that happened?
So I had been thinking about the Southeast market for a while. It would also bring me closer to home, closer to my family. And I had felt like New York gave me all it could give I was really, there's like the hustle culture of New York, you having to like work a lot and do your art a little in a
Yeah.
lot of places because you got to keep up with the cost of living there.
Right.
And when the pandemic hit, I was still in New York. I had already given Atlanta thought, but it kind of confirmed things for me. I had sat with myself. I was working in restaurants closed. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, Angel, what can you do that's creative, that can also still pay your bills?
Right. Right.
And I discovered audiobooks and voiceover work.
Yeah.
So that was something I kind of started to get the ball rolling. I was able to take an incredible course that taught not only the craft of like audiobook narration, but the business and the industry as well. So it was a really well-rounded platform for me to be able to use to get my start in New York, in terms of just practicing and working out these muscles that I didn't even know existed because I was still able to use my acting skills, but it's a completely different medium.
Right.
And by August of 2020, I had moved to Atlanta. So smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. Got, a sound booth set up in my closet in my apartment and got a bunch of equipment I didn't know how to work.
Yeah.
But, I took it day by day, step by step.
Yeah.
And it was about like a 9-month long process before I, got my first book. And I've just been going since then.
That's awesome. So you
Yeah.
still keeping up with voice acting now that like obviously things are a little more normal, whatever normal means in our
Yeah.
society. But like you're obviously able to act again in person, but you're still keeping up with the voice acting, doing audiobooks.
Yes,
That's
absolutely. In the audiobook space, as well as like commercial and industrial voiceover,
oh wow.
it pays my bills. It's what I get to do full time so that I have the flexibility to, be a part of these projects that come up.
That's really awesome. Yeah, it's so funny like for the pandemic on my side, we had to figure out unique ways as well to like be creative because when it comes to, the video production side of things, I mean, you couldn't go out and you couldn't shoot anything.
Yeah.
So, Jackie and I, my wife obviously, she and I created like a YouTube channel and we were just trying to stay relevant and creative and that
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. And then just out of nowhere, people were coming up with all these great ideas during the pandemic because they were just sitting at home. And I
Mhm.
had a lot of new startup businesses reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, I want to do an ad and I want to do this." And like it's about to be 2021 and like things are kind of opening up a little bit. So I
Yeah.
was able I had all these opportunities to finally go and be back on set, but it was, it was weird. It was weird at that time.
Yeah.
But it was a unique situation that like I don't know, it opened up a lot of doors and just like you, I had to find a different type of work to keep
Mhm.
myself going. So it wound up being a lot of editing and a lot of remote productions but in the end it was a very interesting time and I'm happy to have been one of the successful people during it because obviously there was a lot of bad that happened, but we thankfully had a lot of positive in our life, and it sounds like you did too. So that's
Yeah.
that's wonderful. And now you're in Atlanta, and you're thriving. I see your television career is going strong. You just told me about some amazing news to continue that. So yeah, you want to talk a little bit about how Atlanta has been to you and how
Yeah.
you're enjoying it?
Absolutely. And I feel like Atlanta has welcomed me with open arms. I was still in a place when I first arrived where, I felt like a very fresh actor. I really only had my training and smaller credits. I hadn't gotten a network credit yet. I was also, of course, seeking representation, being new to Atlanta.
Right.
And at first, it was pretty daunting. But I think it was nice, to kind of look at things with the perspective of, okay, Angel, you're setting yourself up for something else that can obviously kind of feed your creative energy. And you have the time because productions, they were also closed by the
Right.
time I got to Atlanta. So there really wasn't much out there. And so setting myself up with voiceover kind of kept me in a place where I was still able to act. I was still able to do the thing that I love. And by the time I got a really like solid handle on that, things started to open up again. I was able to meet different actors in this market, and someone someone was signed to my dream agent here in Atlanta. And I had always said to myself, I was like, I'm probably going to have to wait and get a few network credits before I could even try to seek representation from them. But they referred me, and I went through all of the steps, auditioning for them, interviewing with them, and they signed me across the board, which was, it was the best news I could have gotten. And that happened in 2022. So it took a minute, once I got here, but I was grateful, because I was like, it was well worth the wait. And within a month, I had booked my first 2 network credits here in Atlanta, and I shot them back to back as well. So that was even a cool experience. One was for ABC, Will Trent, and the other was for the CW, Gotham Knights. And they were both very different experiences, because they're very different shows, and they're different networks. But being in my element, being in that space on set, I was like, wow, all of my hard work, everything that I've done leading up to this point, it's working for me. And I can trust that, I have what it takes. And I just also need to pair that with technique and industry insight, and with the business mindset as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. A lot of people don't realize how much like you are a business of one when you're an actor or a film producer. So, that's the hard part. That's the hard part, to come to that realization and like learn the ins and outs of doing that side of things, because it's not just a creative industry.
I know. Yeah. And we also, I feel like actors, we can tend, because I was someone like this. We tend to pigeonhole ourselves into like a space where I'm the person just looking for a job, looking for an opportunity, when we have so much more control than we think. Yeah, we can't necessarily control like production decisions and things like that, but we can put ourselves in positions where we can get the opportunities that we want. We can attract them. We can go out and strategize and figure out how to be in these spaces that could further push our career forward.
Wow. Yeah. Very profound. 100%. I totally agree with you. And, it's a testament to your acting prowess, because I saw it in the casting call for Gen Hack. Like, there was no one else at that point. Once we saw you, it was like, oh my God, it's Angel. You have this presence on screen. And it must show, because like you said, you got representation more easily than you had expected. So that's awesome. Congratulations on that, because I know that's a hard feat to conquer when being an actor and an upstart actor, Yeah. Hey all, are you a parent looking for a fun and exciting podcast to listen to? Well, look no further. Go check out Couple Chat. It's a conversational podcast between my wife and myself, where we talk about everything from marriage, entertainment, events, and parenting. All for you, parents. You can listen to us on YouTube Music and Spotify. Let's chat. Now, you're here thriving in Atlanta, and I'm sure things are just getting, going, and you're continuing on this journey of being an actor. And then here I come back into your life to say, hey, that amazing little film we did in 2019 that you probably were just like, yeah, well, that will never happen, because it happens, especially with shorts. Sometimes it does, and it's unfortunate, but I was very adamant, and I've been pretty much telling everybody this, but I have a whiteboard right next to me here, and at the top of the board is finish Gen Hack, like just in my peripheral vision forever, until I was like, I need to get this done. And it happened. All the pieces came together, and I was adamant. And part of that was, it's very different. Like, you obviously moved on and had to continue your career, where I would open this project up and, not to sound weird or anything, but I'm looking at your face like sometimes weekly, and like, just, she deserves for this to be finished, because it's such a wonderful performance. And watching it over all these years, I'm like, I have to get this done. If for anyone, and as weird as that sounds, and I'm sorry, I am getting a little emotional, because it's a fantastic performance, and I'm so happy that you decided to be a part of this film. And I want to talk a little bit about, how that was for you coming to the casting call, why you decided to, come on board and become Hilt. Like you are Hilt. Like this is your character now. I write because of you. Like the way that I've written her in the feature is like because of who you are now. So
I have okay, I have to take a second to take it in because you have you have no idea how much it means to me to hear the things that you've just said. Um, because we'll take it back to casting for me on my
Yeah.
side of things. I remember seeing like Hilt come up on my laptop, Generation Hack, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want this so bad because I love sci-fi is like sci-fi, fantasy, cyberpunk. These worlds are my favorite. And I always told myself that I didn't know if I'd be able to fit into these worlds. I didn't know if anybody could ever see me in them.
Yeah.
Um, but I saw the casting and I was like, I owe it to myself to try. And part of me even considered playing it in like a very obvious way because obviously we know the story, we know the scene, we know her, and
Yeah.
it felt like okay, this is a very like alternative kind of person. Um and then I had to take a step back and say, Angel, you're very much so in touch with your authentic self. And you know how to bring this to a character who has these interests. So why not just marry the two? And I trusted my gut and was like, even if I'm not the look or the feel of what they want, I can show up as me, taking on her circumstances
Yeah.
and just living it out because I also just resonated with her story. Because it's a beautiful one. It's so intricate, it's so nuanced, and there's so much self-assurance that she has with herself. But then we also get to be a part of this story where she has a lot of self-discovery. And
Right.
that character growth, you don't find that a lot, even especially in something as short as a proof of concept. But you did a beautiful job implementing a start to finish for Hild, where she's not the same person as she was from the beginning to the end.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that was, that was a big part of like I literally am just taking this small nugget from the feature and I knew we needed that, And that opening 12 to 15 minutes of the script and now this proof of concept, it was so important to write it that way because I knew making a sci-fi cyberpunk, epic project like this, it was gonna take a lot. And I was like, I'm never gonna do it justice on my own as a feature, but I will darn well try to make a proof of concept. And just location scouting in Jersey City and finding all these very unique places. And it's such an interesting area. I just yesterday, Robert Mananese, who is one of our producers, he kind of helped me inject myself into Jersey City because he was living there at the time, and he took me to all these places, and we kind of like just lived a life there for a little bit, and it was amazing. It's just a very amazing, interesting environment, like right over the water from New York City. It brings so many people there and so many different cultures and ethnicities, and that was a huge part for me too because I'm not going to shy away from the fact that I am a white male, have made crime dramas about Italians and
Yeah.
pretty much white people my whole life, like let's just lay it out there.
Yeah.
And I had to come out of my comfort zone a little bit to say, I'm making a film about a character that is not that. This is a completely different story. And I want to tell that story because Hilt can be almost anyone. And putting it in this place, I knew I had to like open the doors and say, I need to find the best actor. It doesn't matter where they come from or who they are. I need to find the best person. And, again, you walked into that room and I was like, oh my God, you brought everything, exactly what you just said. It's so cool to hear it from your side because that's exactly what I saw, when you walked in there. So yeah, great job. And yeah, I mean, so we're here and it's finished. But
Thank you for finishing it. say. I
Yeah.
have to think, there are so many projects that I did do.
Yeah.
And when I tell you I've just never gotten to see them,
Yeah.
barely, I haven't even been able to see clips of.
Right.
And they just go unfinished. And that's a part of the game, especially when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
first starting off doing your first few short projects. But when you reached out to me and told me it's done, I, putting it out there
Yeah.
to festivals, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Good.
I was so pumped and so thrilled.
That's
She's
awesome
my
to hear.
favorite. I love her so much.
Ah, that makes it even better. Like just hearing that from you, because again, like 2019, we really haven't seen each other in person, but like
Yeah.
just hearing that. And so I wanted to just mention, so when you moved to Atlanta and you had this big setup and you were working remote. So I finished the first draft of the feature and we were in this interesting space where everybody was at home and they weren't really working, but we all had cameras. We all had computers and setups to be able to talk to each other in the best way
Yeah.
possible. So I was like, this is kind of a unique situation. I have this cast, I have this crew, I finished this feature. Why don't we do a read through? And it was just the perfect opportunity, and we got to do that. And I was watching it the other day, and again, just even in that environment, I was like, oh my god, like I got to see you play the whole arc. There's very few people that got to see that, and even that was phenomenal. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that process was and how interesting it was to finally see like her whole journey, at least in
Yes.
this film?
Yeah. It took me by surprise in the best way because I was like, wait, there's more. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
You did a really good job of putting in so many big like crescendos throughout,
Right.
and then ending it in a way where it's like, wow, that took my breath away. It feels kind of something similar to a musical performance, if that makes
Mm.
any sense, or a
Yeah, no, no,
story,
no.
because there are so many highs and lows.
Right.
And of course, it's also like packed with the world building and the action of it all, and all of the unexpected turns. It rendered me speechless because I knew the ins and outs of the short version, and
Right.
then having it paired with everything that happens afterwards. I'm like, this is a story that deserves to be told. As I'm reading through it, I can see it in my head and it's coming together, and I just know that it's something that people would fall in love with and then want to know more and see more.
Well, I guess that's a testament to it getting picked up for this world premiere because, at least a handful of people so far that have seen it, that judged this film, decided that, more people should see it. So we have, for your information, we have a sold out audience that night. So very excited for that. I think it's really, like you said, going to resonate with people. And yeah, I mean, there's so much more we can go over, like getting into the nitty gritty of production and whatever the case is. But just being able to talk to you and hear your reaction to this thing being done is just, I mean, that's just amazing. So I thank you so much for coming on today, and I hope that we get to see you soon, whether at the premiere or maybe another festival afterwards. We'll see where the run takes us.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm along for the ride. Happy to be here.
Good. Well, thank you, Angel, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it, Angel Pean, the lead of Generation Hack who played Hilt. It was so wonderful to catch up with her. It's been a long time. I think the last time we actually spoke remotely was when we did the ADR session to finish up Generation Hack a couple years back now. It was so wonderful to catch up with her and learn more about her acting career in the past and what she has going on in the future, which, very excited to see her in new works, and also hoping for Generation Hack to be picked up for a feature film. So I look forward to seeing more of her there as well. If you would like to see Generation Hack, the December 11th world premiere is sold out, which we're very excited for. Finally being able to show this film to a live audience in a packed theater is going to be amazing. But This is only the beginning of the festival run, and we hope to have a very healthy 2025 for Generation Hack. So keep an eye on Hahn Films' social media and this podcast to learn more about the film and other screenings. In the meantime, I'm Matt Hahn, and this is the Hahn Films Podcast. I'll catch you in the next one.